Thank you. Good morning.
I'm sure you've seen the headlines. Apple's long-rumored March event appears to be canceled. So in lieu of that, I could pretty much hold my own event here and tell you everything that was at least supposed to be coming sometime this month. And beyond that, Apple got extra leaky, more leaky than usual, and essentially all of iOS 14 has leaked out. We've got some new rumors on what's going to be in the iPhone 12, iPhone 9 stuff, iPad rumors, and a bunch of other Apple products in between. So consider this like a mini keynote from my house. So before we get to like the juiciest stuff, here's what we were expecting at the March event. And if you remember last year, Apple's March events have not been the most exciting in the world. This year that was supposed to be a little bit more exciting, more hardware we're going to see. So probably the big one, the big daddy, the king of the March event is going to be a new phone from Apple. They didn't forget it, bringing it back, the iPhone 9. Essentially, if you like the iPhone 8 form factor, but you want modern specs, the iPhone 9 was going to be your jam. We did a whole video going over what the iPhone 9 was going to be if you want to watch that and get a bunch more detail. Essentially, $400 iPhone with modern specs in an older body and Touch ID. So when it comes to Apple, they don't announce anything until they announce it. But generally, when these rumors start to hit sort of fever pitch, there's a lot of truth behind them. And the recent one is that the iPhone 9, at least right now, has been delayed indefinitely. So Apple has allegedly manufactured all of these iPhone 9s, and before this, in the YouTube space, saying the name of it is like Voldemort, you were gonna get demonetized. So we're not gonna mention the name of the current health issues going on right here, but these devices are all ready to go. And I kind of picture Tim Cook sitting on like a giant pile of iPhone 9s. Aside from that, we're finally gonna see an update to the 2018 iPad Pro. It's been quite a long time. From the front, should look exactly like your current iPad Pro. No changes from the front. Flip this sucker over on the back is where you start to see them humps. So we've gone from one hump to 3 humps, and I'm talking about cameras, as well as a time of flight sensor. A13X should make its debut on here. It should be just a faster overall experience with a little bit better battery life. But the big story with this generation iPad is going to be when iOS 14 eventually hits, which we will get to. We should have finally seen the debut of Apple's long-rumored tagging system. AirTags is sort of Apple's answer to Tile, a way to sort of track different things depending on where you put it. And to give sort of an Apple throwback, this one's going to have a removable battery. But to make this a bit more exciting, supposedly in the app on your iPhone, you get sort of an AR type view where you can sort of hold up your phone or your iPad and look around and sort of show you with augmented reality where your stuff is kind of in the world. And perhaps, at least to me, the juiciest, chunkiest, pulp-filled Apple rumor is a new Apple TV. So the boring stuff, new hardware, it'll have probably something better than the A10X that's in there, probably the A12, I would imagine, give it more power for Apple Arcade. But the awesome news, adios garbage Siri remote. New remote should come here, which hopefully Apple will listen and give something a little bit bigger, a little better feel, get rid of the touchpad, something like we've got on Roku or the remotes we have on various Android TV devices. All right, so that's the March event. Maybe not exciting. I think it's more exciting than a credit card, but all of that stuff out of the way, let's get to the good stuff. But perhaps the juiciest of all this huge amount of Apple rumors concerns the iPhone 12 Pro, which appears not to be called the iPhone 11s Pro, so I'm just gonna roll with 12 Pro here. And as phones tend to go nowadays, the big story is in cameras. Apple's stuck with 12 megapixels for a while, and with cameras now going crazy high in megapixelage, Apple is at least behind in that category. So we should see at least one of the sensors, and presumably it'll be the wide, go from 12 to 64. We'll see the same other sensor array, so you'll have the wide, the ultra wide, and the telephoto. We should see the telephoto increase from 2x to probably 3 to 4. Perhaps the most interesting rumor is 5G support. And you think that these phones are gonna come out towards the end of 2020 when these 5G networks will have had a little bit more time to mature. Also, kind of cool. New color option. It seems to be a staple now with Apple. Every year we saw green with the iPhone 11 Pro, and then we should see a new blue with the iPhone 12 Pro. So aside from like the new color and 5G, the biggest change with the iPhone 12 line should be a new addition of, well, an iPhone 12. With the iPhone 11, we have one screen size. That should go to 2 for this generation, and then the 12 Pro will have its same 2 screen sizes. So more specifically, Apple's 2020 phone lineup, it'll have the 4.7-inch LCD screen on the iPhone 9 or SE2, depending on what they decide to call it. The iPhone 12 line will now have 2 phones. So it'll have a 5.4-inch and a 6.1. And the 12 Pro is going to match the bigger size of the 12 with a 6.1-inch screen, and there'll be a gigantic version now of the Max going up to 6.7 inches. So in past years, we've seen like little tidbits of OS leaks start to leak out. We saw the icon for Face ID and then the UI for Face ID, but now it appears that the current build of iOS 14 has totally leaked out with all of its secrets. So here are the highlights. So an app view will be a full list, and think Windows Phone and some Android devices, how they've done that in the past. We'll have third-party wallpaper support, so you can download an app and it'll dynamically change your wallpaper. Think of it as what they do with stickers, but now for the background on your phone. Improved HomeKit support. And a big one that's probably not gonna get a lot of attention if they do anything on stage is recovery over the internet. So if your phone's stuck in a boot loop, you don't have to actually plug it in to a computer. Think of it like Mac OS, how you can automatically restore your OS, be connected to the internet. That'll be coming to the iPhone as well. Apple's been positioning themselves kind of as a tech and also as a fitness company. They're doing a lot in the fitness world, and that appears to be taken to the next level with iOS 14. There'll be a new exercises app, and it'll work across all the Apple products. So Apple TV, of course, iPhone, iPad OS, integrate with your Apple Watch. So if you're familiar with Peloton, how that works, how you get these sort of live workouts that happen, it'll be a similar, allegedly, with Apple's new workouts app. Well, there'll be classes that you can download and watch for free. Don't know if they will be live. You can sort of take part and participate in these classes. It'll track your activity via your Apple Watch. It can sync with Apple Music, and it's sort of another way that you can use Apple to sort of keep yourself a bit more active. So Apple also have a new AR app that, man, AR. Woo! See how they make that one sound exciting. And to spice things up, sort of let's give some caffeine from that AR decaf. iPad OS. So now the second generation iPad OS. Apple set out on a path to differentiate what the iPad can do, and it looks like we're actually going to get some differentiation with the second gen of iPad OS. So I think what's interesting is something new will be called Pencil Kit. Essentially anywhere that there's a box for text, you can just handwrite it out. It automatically will translate it over to actual digital text like you just typed it in on a keyboard or Apple's virtual keyboard. Also have new gestures built in, and there's been really strong rumors that Apple is going to be making a new smart keyboard with a trackpad built in. And I think, well, for lack of a better word, that tracks with these recent rumors. So one accessory turns your iPad into sort of that long rumored PC, the ability to scroll with that trackpad, to right click, to have cursor support. It lets you sort of do those things that you ordinarily would be more difficult to do with a tablet. So last but definitely not least, Apple Watch Series 6. And there were a lot of features that were supposed to come out allegedly with the 5 that didn't make it, that should make their debut on 6. Things like sleep tracking is a really big one. You can do that with third-party apps. These will be built in to the watch itself, checking your blood oxygen level. The design's not going round. It should look relatively identical to what we have with the Series 5 right now. So there's a lot of rumors and a lot of things to sort of unpack here. I am excited actually for a new version of iOS. I think iOS 14 is going to bring us closer to that convergence device, especially in regards to the iPad. I think the new camera system on the iPhone 12 and better battery life and 5G, I think are needed to sort of keep Apple's competitive edge in the space. Apple Watch, sort of the oxygen monitoring, is another way to take the Apple Watch away from just notification machine to health. The tags thing is a great way to keep track of stuff. There's a lot of really cool things potentially coming from Apple, and it looks like 2020 is going to be a very interesting year for them. How they're going to sort of mitigate the health crisis going on now with their slew of really interesting product launches. Certainly have to change how they do things, but sometimes forcing change can be a good thing. So I'll be watching very closely to see what Apple does in the coming months.